Welcome to Real Talk Christian Podcast, where we drink coffee and have real conversations on faith, culture, and society. This is Marc
and Chris Fuller.
And today, on this episode of Real Talk Christian, we are talking about Halloween. Should a Christian do Halloween or not? And how should a Christian handle, quote-unquote, pagan holidays? We have Saucier back on this episode, so you know it's going to be hot. Guys, you ready?
Woo! Let's do it.
Let's kick it.
Thank you for joining us at Real Talk Christian, a place where real Christians talk about real issues impacting the community and the world as it pertains to Christians. Now here are your hosts, Marc Hyde and Chris Fuller.
It's the Halloween episode.
I was so confused, bro.
I had to do
so
something.
confused.
I had to drop it, you know.
You did have to drop it. What's up, Saucier? What's up,
Saucier?
Fuller?
What's going on?
Hey.
Dude, I'm excited for this episode.
Dude, like, it's Halloween coming up. Like, let's discuss it.
But you know why I'm excited for this episode?
Because you're the one that's going to be wrong?
Wow. I wasn't going to lead with that. But what I was going to lead with was simply, this is one of the first conversations where we disagree on something. Disney, we agreed. A lot of other conversations, we agreed.
We figured it's getting boring with us agreeing on everything.
Right. So we had to bring in, Saucier to make sure we don't punch too hard. He's the referee.
He's a peacekeeper.
He's the peacekeeper.
Why did you just try to punch me?
No, what's that thing that you got busted for at the airport? That little weapon you carried in your pocket?
It was a Kubaton.
A Kubaton.
It
It was a fidget pin. The fidget spinner on top of a pin was what I bought it for, but it was a Kubaton.
And according to the TSA,
South
Bend TSA,
It was
you could
a weapon.
kill somebody with it.
They confiscated it.
He doesn't need a weapon. He's got his hands.
Got the guns. Welcome to the gun show.
Welcome to the gun show.
Good thing this ain't on video.
These are 22s right here.
So
Maybe 9 mils.
let's get this started off with what type of coffee are we drinking today, Mark?
Oh, dude, we're back. We're still drinking the stuff from Montague, Michigan. It's just so good. We had to drink it again.
Twice in a row.
The Book Nook and Java Shop up in 2 hours north of here, Montague, Michigan. So my favorite local coffee shop. If Tolkien and Lewis and the other Inklings decided to give up going to pubs and went to coffee shops,
That would be the place.
it'd be in the running.
If it were over in England.
If it was in England
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
and it was a pub, then maybe the Inklings would
And
all
it had
show up there.
Beer.
Actually, well, I didn't say this every other episode, but it had a full stocked bar. That was, at full stock. You could get stuff at 10 a.m. bar. It was, but I didn't go to the bar side. I went to the Java side.
Java.
Actually, it's all the same side, but either way. So
today we're going to Java you up. Oh, sorry.
that was bad.
That was
bad.
That was a dad
But
joke.
we are talking about
Anyways.
Halloween, and with Halloween being right here around the corner, this is a conversation that a lot of Christians, I know specifically in our church, disagree on. And so before we even start, I guess the question should even merit itself is, does the Bible even talk about Halloween?
Well, let's ask our area expert, Brandon Saucier.
Does the Bible talk about Halloween?
Does the Bible talk about Halloween specifically?
Halloween.
No, it does not.
Party on, baby. Let's go. End
does
of
not.
podcast. Thanks for listening.
There you go. See you guys next time. Roll the
Your
music.
outro music.
Oh, sorry.
So the Bible does not mention Halloween at all. So
It
why
does
is
not
it
mention
even an
Halloween.
issue then, man?
Because it is a holiday that people celebrate, and I guess it's traditionally associated with it's celebrating spooky, creepy things, right? That's the holiday, right? It's candy for little kids, and it's spooky black cats and witches and scary stuff.
And Fuller walking around. I mean, it's a creepy holiday,
That's
man.
every day.
That's every day. That's every day.
Ask Janelle.
And so, the Christians, we are people of the light, right? We're supposed to be people that are about goodness and light. And so, some people have some issues about celebrating darkness and spookiness. And, it makes sense why there's a controversy there.
So do you think there even should be a controversy, though, Fuller? Like, is this worth having the conversation?
I think every conversation is worth having.
Why?
Because there's definitely a disagreement within the church, so why not? I mean, is it, a salvation issue? I don't think so, but I mean, you should test all spirits.
Yeah.
Right, definitely. And thinking about this conversation, I mean, we have three different guys here. I mean, obviously three different guys. And three different opinions.
Well, Saucier's questionable.
And three different opinions on Halloween. Now, I will say this just for our listeners. Normally we come in, we have notes, we have manuscripts, we have ideas, we have, hey, here's a flow we want to do.
Scriptures or quotes.
We at least have something. Just so everyone knows, we all walking in here open book. Like, we got nothing.
Oh, I got something.
We're just ready to have this conversation. So I'm just going to throw it into the middle. I'm going to throw, a bunch of fish food into the fishes at Potawatomi, and they just all go nuts into it. So who wants to start the conversation? Who wants to lead off about our Halloween conversation?
All right, I'll lead it off.
You were a little excited about that one, Fuller.
So I pulled up facts about Halloween real fast while we were sitting here and you were going on. And I just wanted to...
when I was going on.
I just wanted to say kind of where it all started, where Halloween started. Let's start there.
Yeah, that's a good place to start.
At the beginning.
What is Halloween, Chris Fuller?
Halloween.
We need some story time music. I'm just going to say it.
Halloween originally began as a celebration of the dead. Was that good enough, narration?
It's kind of creepy, so
Yeah,
kind of fitting.
So, so Halloween originally began as a celebration of the dead. Unsurprisingly, our modern and fun Halloween traditions stem from darker roots. Some 2,000 years ago, the ancient Celts celebrated Samhain on November 1st. The festival honored the dead, but the folks celebrating were sure to keep wandering spirits. I'm sorry, hang on a sec. The festival honored the dead, but the folks celebrating were sure to keep wandering spirits kept at bay by taking part in certain rituals. Wow, this person that wrote this was... I'm questioning whether to even trust it now.
Oh, man. It's on the internet.
It's Wikipedia.
It's not Wikipedia,
good.
But...
If it's on the internet, it's good, right?
So it says, it was believed that on October 31st, the barrier between the living and the dead weakened and the dead returned. History.com writes that people placed food and wine outside their homes to ward off ghosts on the eve before Samhain was celebrated. The ancients would also wear masks during the day to convince the spirits that they were fellow ghosts and not living people. And by the way, fun fact.
Do it.
It's way early on, but fun fact here. Back in those days, wearing those masks, they were typically like animal faces.
Like legit.
They weren't like plastic masks like you get at...
Like PJ masks.
Right. Yeah, they're not those. They're like animal skin faces and stuff. It's weird.
Yikes.
That's not really a fun fact.
To convince the spirits that they were fellow ghosts and not living people. In the 8th century, the Christian church adopted Samhain and turned it into All Saints' Day, and All Hallows' Eve was celebrated the night before, which is where our modern term Halloween comes from. Mm-hmm. So that's all I wanted to read to start it off.
It's just and that's just the backdrop. So it started as a pagan holiday, and then Christians try to redeem it. So here's, can I get to this question already, I guess, is the fact of we have so many other holidays that were pagan that went Christian. You got Christmas. Jesus was not born in December.
Right.
We know that. But, the saints took over the winter solstice, or the church, rather, took over the winter solstice. Easter, is around the time of the spring solstice, and they wanted to redeem that day, even though we're pretty sure we know exactly when Jesus died and rose again, why Easter is always moving.
Right.
And then we have a lot of other holidays that we don't celebrate, but a lot of our Catholic friends, especially here in South Bend, celebrate, like John the Baptist Day and all these other ones. So how come Christians love Christmas and we love all these other holidays that were pagan, but to use the word that Saucier likes to use, reformed? How come we're so antagonistic towards Halloween?
I've got my hand raised, teacher.
Oh, I thought you just had to keep your poor broken hand elevated above your heart.
No, I just have my hand raised. So the difference between why most Christians typically celebrate Christmas and why conservative Christianity typically stays away from Halloween is because of what it celebrates. Mm-hmm. When you go out there on Halloween, what do you see? You tell
skeletons, devils,
ghouls,
demons, ghouls,
all sorts of nasty looking things, celebrating evil. And when you're at Christmas, what do you see?
Solid St. Nick.
Christmas presents.
No, Solid St. Nick. No,
most people.
Jolly St. Nick. That's
The two biggest
thinking,
times
what are they
that people
talking
attend church are Christmas and Easter, right?
Yep. Those are the actually fun fact. Christmas, Easter, and Mother's Day. Those always flip flop for the top three holidays for church.
So, I mean, typically Christmas is centered around baby Jesus. Everybody's got a manger out front or something. So it's kind of centered around that. Whereas Halloween is more centered around one, selfishness. Give me the candy. I want the candy, as much candy as I can get.
Yep.
And
that's what Elliot does.
I'm going to dress up as the scariest thing and make sure to scare the living daylights out of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's centered around. So that's where me, as a Christian, as a father, I tend to stay away from Halloween, me and my family. We do not want to be a part that celebrates evil.
So let me ask, do you pass out candy then to your neighbors, or you just don't take part in it at all?
Turn the lights off and don't take part of it. Usually, actually, it's a tradition that Janelle's family started, and we've tried to carry on with. We go to Fazoli's.
Well, you guys go to Fazoli's every Halloween?
Every Halloween, we go to Fazoli's. That's our tradition. Halloween's going on. We don't want to be in the neighborhood. We go to Fazoli's.
That's interesting. Saucier, what's your take on this, man?
Yeah. So, wow.
Yeah.
Hot topic. Which, by the way, fun fact,
BT Dubs.
Hot Topic is a place where you can get lots of Halloween-themed clothing items.
Hot Topic.
Sorry.
And Spencer's, but we probably shouldn't
anyways, Halloween is
That was so corny. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
That was good, though.
Halloween is... It's hard to say, that article you read is... who knows? But... It's hard to say where the origins are.
It was from history.com.
There is dispute on the origins of
there's
Halloween.
disputes. Right. I think
but what Fuller read is the classic traditional view towards where Halloween came from.
And I think the big issue, like you said, Chris, is what are we celebrating? And I think, I like to think that I have a pretty balanced view on this issue. I grew up celebrating Halloween pretty hardcore. Had the costumes. My mom would make me costumes. We would go trick-or-treating. We had our house decked out in pumpkins and black cats and all the decorations and all the stuff. We were hardcore Halloweeners.
Halloweeners.
But now...
Halloweenies. That's...
I'll say, as my family, I've gotten to a place where I don't really, like you said, I don't really like the thought that we are celebrating darkness. I think we were having a conversation the other day, Fuller, and you'd mentioned in Thessalonians it talks about abstain from the appearance of evil.
Right.
And but I wrestle with it because like a church I used to be a part of, we would have a trunk or treat deal on Halloween evening, and where we were inviting people from the community to come to our church, and I think the church here in South Bend has done that a few times where we invite kids to come out, and we're not dressing up celebrating evil. We're dressing up like I dressed up like Batman, and my little toddler was Robin, and we were celebrating.
He's the superhero who hides in the dark, right?
Yeah,
he's the Dark Knight.
Right, that's true.
So I just gotta say,
we weren't celebrating evil.
No, you were having fun with it.
We were having fun. We were dressing up in a costume.
It's not like your lead pastor dressed up like the devil. That would be interesting,
right? And and everybody that was there was dressed up in a costume that was not a scary evil thing. It was like just a character from their favorite show, or but for that instance, we weren't celebrating something that was evil. We were just having a fun time celebrating our community, celebrating, having fun giving out candy and hanging out together and having a party, and using it as an opportunity to reach out into the community. But at the same time, you could argue, if you have, and I think if a Christian were to celebrate the holiday in that such a way, like I would say there's an issue with celebrating evil. There's an issue with that as a Christian. But I think if a Christian wants to celebrate this holiday in such a way where they're not celebrating evil, they're just enjoying, your kids dressing up in a like Thomas the Train or something, then and you don't have any issues of conscience come up, and you're not delving into the background of it,
right?
Then I think that's one thing.
Yeah, I mean, we had this conversation too about living by your convictions. If
Right.
it's not biblically spelled out, if it's one of those what we like to call gray areas where it's not 100% clear of the direction we're supposed to go, you have to live by your convictions.
Right.
So, Mark and I, we've been friends for 3 years.
We've been BFS for 3 years.
Yeah. So
We've been 3F.
I mean,
Yep.
Three
I
months.
almost said we've been BFS for 3 years, Papa Bear, but I'm like, that might be kind of weird.
I'm Papa Bear. No.
You are wearing the Papa
I
Bear
am.
shirt. Let's be honest.
Sorry, that little Papa Bear music was from my daughter's little sing-along book. Anyways,
Anywho, back to Halloween.
we've disagreed on this. We've
had-
had
we've
different
had- right.
different takes
Right.
on this, but we always come back to the same conclusion of you have to live by your convictions.
Yep.
It's not biblically spelled out of Halloween is good or Halloween is bad. So
Right, you got to take what does the Bible say about certain aspects
Right.
and certain elements, and we've talked about that. I mean, we're people of the light. We were rescued out of darkness. And,
Right.
I mean, just like Charlie Hall in the song "Marvelous Light." I mean, that's what we're supposed to be running to.
Well, and something Saucier had mentioned the other day. Sorry, Mark, you missed out on this conversation.
Yes, I
but
did.
Saucier said something that was really struck me about Christians need to really take back the day. He kind of alluded to that even with music back several episodes ago about types of music, that the music and the days were all created for good by God, and Christians, Satan takes them, twists them, and Christians need to take them back. Like, that's our job. And so, I'm not opposed to churches that want to take that day back and be an outreach to the community. I would just very strongly caution of the appearance of evil. 'Cause we don't want to look worldly. We don't want to look like the world does. Like, oh, we're saying this is okay. As a church, we want to make it very clear. We're supposed to be set apart. We're supposed to stand out.
But I do want to say this. I mean, I think we can't live by the fear of, oh no, we can't look like the world, because the world does a lot of good things. It's almost like, oh, we don't want to go dig wells for the poor little kids in Africa because that's what the world does. Like, we got to be careful. I think if we say we don't want to look like the world, it's more the fact of we don't want to live in the darkness that the world lives in. Because this is where my take on Halloween comes in, because I've gone trick or treat. I mean, now I will say this: I don't decorate my house in ghouls and goblins, but I got lots of pumpkins. I got the mums. I got we got the scarecrows out front. We're gonna be Elliot is already ready to go for at least for the fall season. And Elliot loves going trick or treating because he's an introvert who is my social bug. I don't get it.
Introvert with extrovert tendencies.
Yeah, but he is more of an introvert than an extrovert. But he loves knocking on doors and meeting people and having fun. And I'm one of those guys where we grew up trick or treating, and my mom and my dad were in the most conservative Christianity you could imagine, and we always did it. And I asked my mom, well, why did we do Halloween? And her answer has kind of driven me from where I go, and it's the fact of we wanted to engage with our neighbors, and it's the time when everyone is out in the community, so why not engage with it? And it's one of those things where Halloween is one of the few times per year where you can knock on someone's door and say, you can knock on someone's door and they actually open the door for you. Now, I've learned in our little area, most of the people actually, even who have kids, actually pack up and they travel to the rich areas to go get those king size candy bars. So we had to leave. We tried one year. We were passing out candy. I think we had 4 people show up at our door one year. I'm like, yeah, I ain't doing this anymore. We're going to go to my mom's house where everyone passes out. But I'm the person where I like to engage. I'm a very big community engager. That's why I'm at Starbucks. I try to be at Starbucks at least once a week. I'm friends with most of the baristas. I run into people all the time. I've had great pastoral moments inside of Starbucks because I want to be where the people are at. So for me, for Halloween, am I celebrating evil? No. I mean, Ellie dressed up as Toothless, and he was the cutest Toothless imaginable. But it's more the fact of it's a fun time. Let's go get candy. Let's enjoy the day. Let's get out. This is kind of like the last hoorah before the snow comes. But more than that, I mean, I've been able to use that for a lot of, and I'm very intentional about my opportunities that I get as well, to have those conversations with people, to put on a good face. we trick-or-treated last year in my mom's neighborhood, so I got to meet a lot of my mom's neighbors, and my mom was able to even meet some of her neighbors as well. And it had that whole conversation of, this is something that the community can come to do together for the betterment of kids, for the excitement, for the enjoyability of it. Now, after I go trick-or-treating, do I come home and sacrifice black cats? No. Oh, I don't do that. I don't want to celebrate the evil because of it. But at the same time, I see it as an opportunity to engage my community where we're at.
So I get what you're saying.
This is where the disagreement comes.
So, and I try to remember this girl's name. She was an ex-witch or Wiccan or whatever they are. But she's...
They're kind of different.
Those Satan worshiping sons of...
Oh, good.
Wow. No, but she said that as a Satan worshiper, that the occult religion...
I'm just going to clarify really quick. Satan worshiper is not Wiccan. I have relatives
Yeah, they're different.
who are Wiccans. Now,
So what's
we
the
know
difference, Saucier?
biblically that
The occult,
there's a
the
difference,
occult
but,
community, is that better? So
Sure. Yeah.
You okay with that? Wiccans, wizards, I don't care what you call yourself. The occult community
good.
There you go.
relishes in the fact that churches take part in celebrating Halloween. So when darkness is excited that the light is conforming to the day that is their Easter, that's their Easter, quote unquote. I can't do my other half of my quotes. Sorry. We need to be wary as Christians. Why? Why are they so excited that Christians are partaking in the dark rituals?
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there. That interview has always stuck with me because, like Saucier, as a kid, I grew up, doing trick or treating, knocking on doors, and doing all that fun candy getting stuff.
And I think there's a difference between the celebration of adults on Halloween, like even run-of-the-mill secular adults celebrating Halloween by dressing up in very scantily clad outfits and drinking, excessive amounts of alcohol and all of these things. That would be not something that the church would want to take part in. And, there are adults that do the occult practices on Halloween. But there's a difference between that and what in general is the typical, like what Mark's describing.
Yeah, going out with your kids, having fun, getting candy.
That's there, and so in a way there are like two different Halloweens that take place at the same time. In a way, there's the occult Halloween, and there's the kids getting candy Halloween, and it's very. I mean, they're happening at the same time. And it's not unheard of for them to cross paths and for people to, lace their candy with things and put
kids go up missing.
And right, it's not unheard of for evil things to happen to the kids that are trying to just have fun with this thing. So here is the middle road, guys.
Here it is.
This
is why we brought him along.
So
I'm ready
Halloween.
For a
Halloween is named after All Hallows Eve.
Right.
Okay. Because
All Saints Day.
All Saints Day or All Hallows Day. Is November 1st, and it was the celebration of Christian martyrs. And you guys know Reformation. That's me.
That's you.
Reformation
I'm all about
Brando.
it. So
I'm the Anabaptist. You're the Reformer.
Martin Luther, which in 2017 we celebrated the 500th anniversary of Martin Luther nailing the 95 Theses to the church door in Wittenberg.
I know where you're going.
On All Hallows Eve, he nailed his 95 Theses, which many credit with the spark that started the Protestant Reformation. And he nailed that to the door on All Hallows Eve because he knew that the next day, on All Saints Day, everyone was going to come to church and everybody was going to read these issues that he wanted to discuss about the excesses of the Roman Catholic Church and the different issues that were going on. And so I say we as Protestant Christians celebrate Reformation Day. And we have our own different holiday on the same day. Because here's the thing. As a Christian parent, I don't want to just take away the fun thing from my kids and say, yeah, we're just not going to do anything. Because, and I like what your family does of, we're not going to participate in the holiday, so we're going to go to a restaurant and have fun doing this
with your family.
Have our own,
with our family.
Yep,
right. And so, but I think we can have, just like the Christian church, like the whole, and if that article you read is accurate, the whole All Saints Day is Christians trying to take a holiday that was evil and
redeem it.
And redeem it and make it into something that honored the Lord.
Right.
And I think
I have no problem with that.
That happened, and then the enemy took it back again, right, and made it something bad again. So we have the chance to say, let's celebrate God. It even goes with the theme of darkness, because one of the battle cries of the Reformation was post tenebrux lux, which means after darkness, light. There was 1,500 years or 1,000 years of darkness where the gospel was hidden in the Roman Catholic Church,
right.
And light, the gospel was brought back to bear. The light shined again, and so we can celebrate the light overcoming the darkness.
So let me ask you a question, then a follow-up. So do you think it's good for us Christians to create our own separate holiday, or is that part of the us versus them mentality?
Well,
like the bubble Christianity,
Can I answer that?
No. Go for it.
Every day should be taken back by Christians.
Mm-hmm.
And every day we should be praising and worshiping the Lord. And that should be our sole focus.
Yeah.
So are we, you talk about taking back, like Brandon said, it's an opportunity. Like you said, you like to go out in the community, and
right.
It's an opportunity to talk with people. I get that. We're called to go out. We're not called to wait in our nice pews or chairs and wait for sinners to come to our doorstep. We're commanded to go out.
Right. Amen.
But I think every day should be a major event day, because it's a day that God has given us to still be alive.
Right. It's a new day.
So we draw breath each day, so we should be praising the Lord each day.
Thinking about your us versus them and our separate holidays, I don't think as a rule we as Christians need to create a bunch of separate holidays where we are bubbling ourselves off from the world.
Come on, man. I want Chris Tomlin Day.
As a rule,
you mean Butchered Him Day? No,
yeah.
I'm kidding.
As a rule, we need to be engaged with the culture, because, as Psalm 2 says, God is the King, and His kingdom is spreading, and the gates of hell will not prevail against Christ's church. That's what Jesus said in the New Testament. He talks about, gates don't attack, gates defend.
I feel like there's a sermon out there about this.
I feel it's deja vu all over again.
Man.
So we ought to be.
We'll link Saucier's sermon to the show notes.
Yeah,
we'll
I preached on that a couple weeks ago, or was that this?
That was this last Sunday.
Well, it was this past Sunday from when we're recording.
Yeah.
But it's going to be
it's going to be like
but,
it'll be a little bit.
So we ought to be engaging the world and advancing the kingdom. I think the point that could be made, though, is do we continue to engage the world and celebrate with them when it's celebrating evil?
And that's where I think that as Christians we should not engage in their celebration.
Right, and that's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
And Marc,
And
I
my
think
question is the fact of, are we even celebrating evil?
right, and so there's a, and I think
there's the disagreement.
Yep.
but I think that's a conscience issue.
Right.
For on one level.
Right.
Like and the Apostle Paul talks about, if one deems a day sacred and another doesn't, like we need to bear with one another.
Right.
Bear with me, Fuller.
And
Hey, you're causing me to stumble.
Don't be the weaker brethren right now, bro. Be strong.
but it's
People just got confused.
Yeah.
if you've got a conviction that you don't need to be celebrating that, then you don't need to be celebrating that.
Right.
And if you're going to celebrate if you're going to engage with the celebration, let's say, in a way that's missional and it's kingdom oriented, and you're not celebrating the evil, you're instead using it as an opportunity to engage your community. I think both of those sides of the coin are really good. It's good to engage your community where they are. It's really good. It's really good to do that. It's really good to not conform to the evil of the world and to keep yourself pure from that. And if you can do both of those, do them. But
He's saying that there's a coin, and on one side is evil, and the other side, we're splitting it down the middle, half and half on that face. She just got confused.
I got confused too.
So
my brain exploded.
We're heads, but we're only half of the heads, is what you're saying. Like we can both live simultaneously against the evil stuff.
I don't even know that you guys. Yeah, I don't even know that you guys are two sides of the same coin. You're both on the same side almost.
It's just different views because I'm in. I mean, there's no question. I engage culture no matter where I can go.
Right,
and I'm always engaging.
That's
culture.
got to be the attitude.
And I get that from the Apostle Paul in Acts when he walked into the worship center, the marketplaces, and he wanted to engage people where they were at and the customs they were already a part of.
So, my question is, since you brought this up, I'm gonna put you on the spot, Mark.
Okay.
Would you go into the strip club to save sinners?
I would not go in the same way that I would not go into a.
That was a trap.
Right, that was a very trap. Let me ask this. I mean, but would I ever go into it? No. But if I found out someone was a stripper or a pimp, would that stop me from talking to them?
Right.
No. Right. It's the whole idea of the same idea of will I participate in the fun festivities that are Halloween with my son? Yes. Will we go to Zubu at Potawatomi? Yep. Will we go to any place we can get our hands on candy? Yep. Who eats all the candy? Daddy does. But anywho, but
so we know if it's laced, who's dying. Sorry, that's kind of morbid.
So,
Halloween.
But I think what you're saying, like,
No,
but are you going to go to the seance that's happening that night?
And I wouldn't go to the seance. Right. I wouldn't go to the visuals to praying for the dead. I would not. I mean, I would not do Day of the Dead Coco Disney style either.
You know that brings up a good point. You know, we talked at the beginning of this. Does the Bible talk about Halloween? And it doesn't. However, the Bible does talk about the dead and our relationship to the dead.
Right. Yep.
And the scripture talks about. I pulled it up, but I lost it. It talks about in Deuteronomy, like that. On a previous episode,
we talked about this on the Disney podcast.
Yep.
On a previous episode, Chris, you mentioned the word abomination. Mm-hmm. And God uses that same language to talk about mediums and those who consult the dead.
Right.
And so this unhealthy relationship with the living, with the dead.
And you're referring to the story about Saul and trying to conjure up Samuel, right?
Well,
that Deuteronomy, right? That's
yeah. I mean,
I just want to make sure people have reference.
No, that wasn't Deuteronomy. That was in
Samuel. But I'm saying, like, yeah, before Saul knew,
right,
before he did that God had said, don't consult the dead, don't worship the dead, don't talk to the dead. And so Samhain was a time of consulting the dead,
right?
And I would argue even All Saints Day is a unhealthy fascination with the dead.
Yes,
which is another issue we have
and
with
that's
the Roman Catholic Church.
Right.
Is we shouldn't be consulting the dead saints to pray for us, but that's another issue. But it's related, And
right.
if Halloween is, that's why I won't let my kids dress up. If I let them dress up at all, I won't let them dress up as ghosts or skeletons,
because it's celebrating the dead. At
right.
that point.
And like you said, the Day of the Dead with I have still not seen Coco because I don't really have any interest in.
Yeah, I haven't either.
And I watched it because I want to be able to interact with the people in my community too about that. And honestly, I mean, the music's good, but I want to know. Okay, so where are they coming at this so I can have that conversation?
I would say,
and I think that's good.
I would say as a disclaimer, though, to like I talked about with your teens, the last Sunday I was with them, you have to be careful with that. You have to be careful of saying, "Well, I'm going to do this so I can relate."
Right. Like go get hammered, go get high, go do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I would even venture to say be careful with what you watch. You don't want to just so I can relate to these people that have seen it. Well, we don't do evil to relate.
Sinning, so grace may abound.
Right?
And the answer is no.
Exactly. And so I know that's not what you're saying.
Right, no.
But I want to just put that out there to make
Right.
sure we're not misunderstood.
And even when Paul says, I've become all things to all people that might save some, he says, to those under the law, I was as one under the law. And then, but he says to those that were to the Gentiles, I was as though I wasn't. How does he say it exactly? But he doesn't say I lived like I wasn't under the law.
Right.
He says I lived in such a way that I wasn't saying they had to be under the law.
Right.
And, we're not called to, Paul didn't sin in order to bring people to Christ.
It goes back to like what Mark and I discussed in the previous episode of being in the world and not of the world. You don't become the world to win the world. You're still who you are. You're still a Christian, but there is a proper way to be in the world.
Right.
So that's where I'm at. But back to the Halloween discussion.
Yeah.
I would still argue to be careful. If you're going to celebrate it, be careful, and especially if you have kids, know why you're doing it. Because there is a lot of evil out there, and we all know Satan's going around like a prowling lion seeking whom he may devour, and he does not always do it in obvious ways. He's very subtle.
Right.
And that's where he traps people.
But I think we also need to make sure we define the word celebrate as well, too. Because, do I celebrate Halloween? I don't really celebrate. I throw Elliot in a Toothless costume and let's go hit up the community. Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
And so for me, is that celebrating the evils of Halloween? No, that's not me celebrating.
Not in your
the evils
mind.
of
Not in your mind.
No.
But for some of us, like me and my family, that's partaking. That's partaking.
And I would say
in an
this:
evil.
would I ever look at you and say, "Oh, Chris, you just suck it up"? It's not like suck it up, bro. Like you can go Halloween. Like you're free in Christ to do whatever you want. Whatever. Say that to your face. Not, jokingly, probably.
Not to my face, anyways, right?
no, but
Come on,
but
Chris.
that's where the beauty of grace comes in Christian walk. Where if there is an issue like this, a lot of times we're so fast to harp on the you must not really love Jesus if you're out here celebrating Halloween.
Right.
If you really love Jesus, you wouldn't be doing that. And I'd be like, well, if you really were, if you were established and ruined your walk with Jesus, you wouldn't be so dang worried about the darkness because I'm of the light, bro. Like, let's go. And so many people want to put a "thus saith the Lord" on things the Lord never says in general.
And that's why in the very beginning I say, live by your convictions, but be careful in all things. Test every spirit is what the Bible tells us to do. Test every spirit. That means everything we think, everything we read, everything we hear, you want to test those spirits to make sure that they match up and line up with what God says about things. Now, again, the Bible doesn't clearly say Halloween is good or bad. So, to me, I'm holding on to the be set apart from the world. That's where I feel like, all right, in these holidays that are geared towards celebrating evil, I need to be set apart. And you're of the opposite side of that, of you wanting to go out and be a light into this darkness.
Right.
And so,
Right.
again, live by your convictions. That's not the way I see it, and obviously my way isn't the way you see it, and that's okay.
Right. And there's even an author. I'm not sure who the author is because it's from gotquestions.org, and they never kind of cite who their authors are. But they say specifically regarding Halloween, and this is a quote. It says, "The decision is ultimately ours to make whether or not we celebrate Halloween.
Right.
But as with all things, we are to incorporate the principles of Romans 14. We cannot allow our convictions about a holiday to cause divisions in the body of Christ, nor can we use our freedom to cause others to stumble in their faith. We do all things as to the Lord." So I think the real question goes back to is why or why not are we celebrating Halloween? And that's the question that maybe each family needs to make on their own.
Right. And I would say as a church, because I know like our church is asking for candy for the Zubu thing.
Right. Yeah, we've taken part in the local Halloween, where kids walk around and get candy at.
I would make sure that if you're going to take that stance of, hey, we're going to participate in handing out candy, that you still need to make it known that you're doing it to be the light, not to be the partaker of evil.
And I will say we had so many wonderful, beautiful gospel conversations that day. We've had some people come to Awana because of it. We've had other people and at least start having, I don't know if seeds were planted. I mean, we didn't see a lot of people come to church because of it necessarily, but we had people who intentionally their job was to talk with parents too. Like, sure, kids get the candy, but parents are there. Parents want to enjoy it too. And if you're giving out candy, it instantly breaks down a wall, instantly breaks down a barrier to just be able to have a conversation. Like, hey, we're out here in the community with you. We love South Bend. What can we pray for you
And
about?
I'm all for that as long as that stance is known.
Correct.
But if that stance is not known, then you have to ask the question, well, why not?
So how would you make it known in a public sphere like that?
Just say, hey.
Like, we hate Halloween.
No, in a public sphere, say, Southside Baptist Church, have a little banner made, say, hey, we're handing out candy, and tape to the candy is a track or something.
Yeah, we
or a card.
Out thousands of cards.
So something like that to make it so that stance is known by one, fellow Christians, that you may not cause them to stumble, whether they're weaker or not. And two, so the community knows why you're out there. I think if you don't do those things, you see, here's the big thing. I hear a lot of people say, well, it doesn't matter. It's not hurting anybody. This is Christians. It's not hurting anybody, and I'm not celebrating the evilness of it, so it doesn't really matter. Everything we do, we're supposed to do it unto the Lord. So every part of our walk of life
is 1 Corinthians 10:31, whether you eat, you drink, whatever you do, all.
So we're supposed to, we're on a path, and that path is supposed to be known. We're supposed to walk that path that leads to Christ and point to Christ during that path and illuminate
Jesus
the way.
says, let your light so shine
Matthew
that men will
5:16.
see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven.
That's my life verse, bro.
Yes, it is.
I quote that all the time. But
Yes, you do.
exactly. And so as Christians, I hate it when I hear Christians go, oh, it's just another day. It's just another day. It's like, well, no, it's not just another day. What have you done to come closer to the Father today? Or to glorify the Father today? I mean, it doesn't have to be known like the Pharisees or Sadducees. It could be known in your own life, just amongst yourself. But I think that it should always be known who you are.
Yeah.
You're an ambassador of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Ambassadors don't hide in the crowd.
Honestly, I think the issue of Halloween and whether or not you quote unquote celebrate it or partake in it, I think it gets to a deeper issue in all of the culture is, and thinking of Christians in the culture is, are we doing things just for the pleasure of the things, or are we gonna use every moment we have, like you're saying, are we gonna use every moment we have to build the kingdom? And I think too often we relax about just about everything. When my wife and I moved here, we made a decision that when we transplanted our family 11 and a half hours away, and it's a scary transition to make, but we made a decision that when we were going to do this, we didn't go to overseas, we didn't go do foreign missions, but we decided, if we're going to move our family, we're going to be on mission. And we're not, and we're wrestling with what exactly does that look like?
And boy, did God put you in a missionary spot.
And, so it's like, if I go to the park with my kids.
Are you going to get shot at?
Probably.
On the west side.
But it's like, if I go to the
side.
park with my kids, my point is like, why am I there? I'm there to be a kingdom ambassador at all times.
Right.
And so if you can celebrate Halloween, but your mindset's got to be like, and I think the point is, your mindset's got to be, I'm doing this for the kingdom.
Right.
I've got a purpose in this. But I think, and the point I'm trying to make is, I think that's got to be our mindset all the time about everything.
Right. And that's what I'm saying.
Like we've got too much entertainment and laziness going on across the board. I mean, I don't think Christians, we're not in any danger of overworking ourselves for the kingdom.
Just take one look at me and you'll know that's true.
Like,
And Saucier fell off the list.
Sorry, Saucier.
No,
I had to throw you for a loop.
it's just, we should be taking every opportunity we get
Right.
to live for the kingdom of God. And I think that's what you're saying, Chris. And I think, Mark, you're just saying, and I'm going to use Halloween for just such an occasion.
Which
And I
is
think-
fine.
And I think you guys are both on the same page.
Yeah. I think I would agree with people partaking for that reason.
Right. And I think I would agree that if you're not partaking for that reason, I think honestly that I would say if you're not partaking for that reason, I think you should check yourself.
Right.
On this holiday.
Check your heart.
Right. On this holiday in particular, since there is so much celebration of evil, if you're not partaking in it so that you can be a light to your community and be invested in your community, then you should probably check yourself and say, why am I doing this?
Well, and I would call that for every holiday. Christmas, Easter, we talked about the other day that when it comes to Easter, I don't let my family dye eggs. And the reason I don't is because of the pagan ritual of they used to kill babies and dip the eggs in blood to stain it and color the eggs. And so I particularly don't like that aspect of it.
I just got traumatized.
If you guys could see Mark's face right now.
So that's
too bad this is not video.
I just died a little on the inside.
That's why I don't let my family do it.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I'm like, we dye all the eggs.
I'll celebrate Easter all day long for the resurrection of Christ.
Right.
And I'll celebrate Christmas all day long as, hey, this is the time of the year when we're going to celebrate Christ's birth and being together as family.
Right. And that's why, a lot of people in our church and even in recent years, we don't call it Easter Sunday. It's Resurrection Day.
Right.
Now, I will say I use the term Easter all the time, mainly so I can make that connection with my community of like, oh yeah, it's Easter. But again, it always goes back to I'm very intentional about what I do.
Right.
To go, yeah, I talk about Easter and I do Easter things. Why? So I can tell you why we really celebrate Easter.
Right.
So before we close, though, are there any closing thoughts on Halloween except for the fact of give Mark all the candies?
I'll give you all my candies. Don't worry
Specifically ones with nuts. Like, I want Reese's.
I was going to say specify because you don't want the razor blade candy.
Why does it always go back to Lay's
Send those to
candy?
me. I'll take those.
I've never had... I grew up in Hammond, and I never got Lay's candy.
Yeah, but the world's becoming more wicked.
That's true.
So,
Just give me the Kit Kats. Give me the Reese's. Maybe Three Musketeers. Oh, I love me some Three Musketeer bar. All the Skittles. I want all the candies. Give me the Sugar Rush, bro.
So he's talking about being a glutton here.
Oh, Jesus.
Man.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, I'm starting to
All
wonder
right,
now.
no, so let's I think that's a good place to end the podcast, except for the fact that we have to end it with a fun fact with Fuller. And I'm very
Fun
curious what this fun fact is going to be.
So it's a Halloween-related fun fact.
I was expecting
Which is not really
Did
fun.
you expect that?
I didn't.
I didn't
not
expect
at
that
all.
at all.
Which is
No.
not really a fun fact. It's
left
kind of a
field.
weird, spooky fact, actually.
Oh.
And it's a long one. It's not like a
Okay.
short fun fact. It's a
Buckle up.
it's a doozy.
It's a zinger.
All right. Jack-o'-lanterns represent the lantern of the lost spirit of Stingy Jack. Did you know this?
No.
I did not know
According to an old Irish folk story, Stingy Jack sat down to share a drink with the devil, something we wouldn't recommend that you do. Jack talked the devil into returning him. You guys are making me laugh.
No, did it say in the actual article you're reading? That's
something we don't recommend you do. That's what it says.
Okay, that was not Fuller commentary.
No, that was
Good.
Jack talked the devil into turning himself into a coin to pay for the drinks without actually paying for the drinks. The devil did so, and Jack put the devil/coin into his pocket where he kept a silver cross that kept the devil from transforming back to his original form. Oh, goodness. Jack said he would free the devil if the devil agreed to leave Jack alone for a full year. And if Jack died within that year, that the devil would not allow him to take, or would not allow, the devil was not allowed to take his soul. The devil obliged and left Jack alone for that year. When the year was up, the devil returned to Jack, and Jack asked the devil to pick him a piece of fruit out of a tall tree. When the devil climbed up the tree, Jack carved a cross on the bark, so the devil could not come down until he promised to leave Jack alone for 10 years. Jack died soon after their second agreement was made, but because of his deals with the devil, God would not allow Jack into heaven, and the devil promised not to take Jack's soul. So the devil gave Jack a burning coal to light his way as he wanders, lost and unclaimed, into the night. Jack put the coal in a carved turnip, and that's where Jack-o'-lantern originated from.
And that is a fun fact. That's one way to sign off. So, Fuller, Saucier, it's been real, guys.
Yo.
Happy trick-or-treating.
No.
Not for Fuller. See you guys later.
See ya.
Happy Reformation Day.
Thank you for listening to Real Talk Christian. To help get our podcast into the ears of other people who need to hear these conversations, we would love for you to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. To keep the conversations going, feel free to follow us on Instagram and Facebook and share our content with others. See you next time.